welcome back to another episode of the Parent Pivot Podcast. I'm Steve Cummings.
And I'm Julia Cummings, fixing my hair here. Sorry, it's bugging me.
No, hey, we always post new content on Tuesday morning. So if you're listening to this for the first time, it's Tuesday. However, we're celebrating an anniversary.
We are this week.
April 23rd.
Yes.
It was 37 years ago, this April 23rd, that I said I do, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
It's been heaven.
It's been heaven for all these years and moments.
Every second of every day.
Every second of every day has gone by so fast.
It has gone by fast.
We have 4 kids, adult children. They've chosen well, so I always tell people we've got 8 adult kids and 5 grandchildren with 1 on the way.
Yeah.
And who knows what else is going to happen. So go back 37 years ago, hon. We were dating for 2 years before that?
Asking me to remember things.
I am. I'm the one that has a bad memory.
Yeah, when it comes to detailed stuff, though, I don't remember things.
We were a part of the singles group, 20 plus, out in Orange County at Calvary Church of Santa Ana. So if you are a listener to the podcast and you know us from Calvary Church of Santa Ana, would you just do a shout out in some way through a comment? We'd love to connect with you guys and just go, woohoo, look at there. What's your earliest memory? I remember. I don't mind this, and I've said it many times. What's your earliest memory of knowing or meeting me? What'd you think?
Oh, well, it was a 20 plus gathering.
Yep.
Can't remember at the girl's house. And you walked up and tried to get me to go to a football game and said, would you be willing to go on a blind date with somebody? And I was thinking somebody else. And you had in mind yourself. Yeah. Which we ended up not doing that.
No.
I forget why. What happened?
And it was that same event where I all of a sudden watched her walk across the room and I went, oh, I need to meet her and stuff. I said, I've got tickets to the Freedom Bowl. And I thought, this group didn't date. I don't know about y'all when you grew up in singles groups. Did you guys date very much? Our group didn't date very well. So yeah, we didn't do that. But what was our first date?
Our first date, we went into LA and we saw a play with Carol Channing. And I remember you apologizing for the play because a guy stripped down to his like a G-string.
Yeah, I'm on a date trying to impress this girl.
There was some G-string thing. I don't remember. It didn't bother me. And then we went to the Biltmore. But before that, we had dinner at our friend Mark's house.
We were double dating.
We were having a double date.
Right.
And they picked us, a fake limo driver came and picked us.
Did you already say it was on Valentine's Day?
It was on Valentine's Day, 1986.
1986?
We are really old.
We are really old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our anniversary. What are we going to do for anniversary?
Nothing.
Well, what do we normally do?
Let's just go out to eat.
We'll go out to eat.
Do something low key.
Yep. Like we always do. But I'm saving for 40. So those of you who have been married for 40 or 50 years, would you put a note in somewhere or shoot us an email, parentpivotpodcast@gmail.com, or go to our social media. Again, it's at Parent Pivot Podcast, and give us some ideas.
Well, you know what I want.
Yes, but they don't.
No, but I can just tell you what I want. I really, really want to go experience the Greek Isles, not like on a cruise ship necessarily, but like to live there in a little town. And
you like all the white buildings and stuff.
Yeah, I just want like hills. A little town thing. And I'd love to go I'd love to do the whole Mediterranean. I'd love to do like the Spanish Riviera, the Italian Riviera, blah, 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 blah. But I'd really love to do Greece for sure.
Yeah, tell us some places you've been, and we'll just kind of go, oh, what about this place? But
we have to save all our pennies to do
we
that.
do. And right now the pennies are going the wrong direction. I just had to pay for our septic tank to be pumped again. We've got a problem out there. Would you please pray when they come on Thursday, audience? You guys, we're wondering what you can pray for us on. We just need to make sure that these repairs to our drain field are not going to be super expensive. Because we live on 2 acres here in Georgia. We've never lived with a house that's had a septic system and drain field before. And now after 7 years, we're like, yikes. it could get very expensive if they have to replace everything. And it's 40 years old. And how we got off on this talking about the Parent Pivot podcast, I don't know, but we'll come back to that. We're rambling on. And so today we want to talk to y'all about something where there's a little bit of a, I don't know, a nuance or something to just be aware of.
I mean, it's just differences.
Yeah, it's the differences of having an adult son or an adult daughter launch.
Well, I would say it's the same even when your kids are young. I'm sure that anybody who had young kids you probably raised your daughters a little differently than your sons. I know that was true in our case. And I mean, she was definitely like staying up with her brothers and all of that. But there is something in you as dad that really, like, she's your princess.
She's my princess.
And, so it was a little different.
She's still my princess.
Yes. And now we have a princess
And now
junior.
we have a little princess junior.
Yeah. In any case, there is such a difference. And we had 3 boys and 1 girl.
Yep. Boy, girl, boy.
Yeah. And
we still have them.
Yes, we still have them. Thank goodness. I'm very grateful for that. And
we're not talking about the raising part of them. So we're not talking about 0 to 18. We want to take it from the point of them.
Well, let's talk about, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. No.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what happens when we just kind of plug it in. We know the topic.
We're winging it.
Or we're winging it.
So yeah, I would say from the time they graduate, I think there is a little bit of a difference because I think naturally we want to, once they go off to college or whatever, it's an adjustment for us to stop parenting, to let the leash out a little bit, especially if they're still living at home. We all know that even when your kids come home from college, it's sometimes better when they're away at college because you don't know what they're doing. But when they're out late and they're in your house, sometimes you'll stay awake there until they are home and everybody's in the nest and yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of normal feelings, right? We feel a little more protective maybe of our daughters that way. So fast forward a few years, now they're graduating from college. There's a difference there too. And even beyond that, I would say in general, this is true, even beyond that. Girls have a tendency to gravitate toward their mothers. Or even
even when they're having babies and stuff, they want to live near
right.
mom because it's like, I'm entering the season. I need to be around mom
right.
for some help. And
I mean, if you think about all the people it's way more typical that girls are the ones that are living near their moms. Boys have fled.
But they're living.
And I don't mean in a bad way.
No, it looks like they fled, but they're with their wives, who their wives are near their parents.
Right.
And we have that going on in our family.
Right. So as I've actually said this many times, and it sounds maybe super negative or Debbie Downer type of thing, but it is just a fact and it's kind of the way it's supposed to happen. But when you have boys, more often than not, you're losing the boys. They, like you said, they go off. They have a tendency to find their own way more.
Well, it starts when they start dating a young lady.
Yeah, you're going to see that.
You're already starting to experience. I'm sorry. Even as we record this, I'm looking in the backyard and we've got 3 geese that are just having fun out there. Distraction, squirrel. I can say goose instead of squirrel. But it starts then because here come the holidays. Right. We just had Easter. And if I'm dating somebody, I'm going to break away from my family's thing. I'm going to try to, again, it's starting at that point that right. I'm starting to walk away from right. the nest and I'm going to be with her and her family for different events, 4th of July,
right. And it
vacations.
Can't always be split.
Can't always be split.
So there is just a natural tendency for boys to maybe venture out a little more, to not live as close to the family, to, like you said, having a girlfriend or a wife. They're probably going to gravitate more toward her family. It doesn't mean that they don't like their own family.
No.
So in the case of our 3 boys,
yes,
They all live, not they all, the youngest doesn't. It's kind of a little different situation there, but
They don't live close to us.
yeah, they don't live close to
Just know
us
that.
or the in-laws, actually. They're actually really venturing out. But the two oldest boys live near their wives' families,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't intend to probably venture out of being in that spot. Um, they have babies and they want to be near their mom. It's totally understandable. My daughter is here near me. So, I just want to say, like, I feel the pain. It's really hard. And I will say, my boys would, I think, I hope, would love to live near us, but we kind of moved away. It'd be great if we could move back. But all that to say, it's it's not that they don't like us. It's not
No,
that they
they
are running away from us. Now,
they've
if you
formed their own lives,
right,
and they're moving forward, and we have to be okay with that.
right,
We have to enter into a space of going and accepting this is life right now.
right,
And we're not going to choose to make them feel guilty, like, hey, we went out to there for Christmas. It's your turn to come this direction. And like, for example, our oldest son and his wife have 3 kids and pregnant with the 4th.
right.
And for like the first time in 5 years,
Yeah,
they're coming to Georgia, but we had to help them get here.
yeah,
And we're looking forward to that, so we're celebrating that. They're not coming here for a holiday
no,
and things, but we're gonna enjoy that and just live it up and have a good time. And we'll see the grandkids playing with each other because Florence will get to have 3 other playmates
yeah.
and stuff. But
So I know how hard this is for moms, well, and dads.
well, yeah.
Maybe it's easier for dads.
Well, let me go to this dynamic. I think it kind of depends on your own family of origin and how you grew up. So if your family of origin, whether there was both girls and boys in your family, depending how mom and dad um, nurtured that family, maybe everybody stayed together. Maybe both sons and daughters stayed in the same place. And so if you're in that kind of group, and now all of a sudden you're raising your family, and here you are at that stage, you're like, well, this is how you do family,
Right.
and it's like, well.
Well, and even my family, originally, we were all in California. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and we originally were all there.
Right.
So we were all there. We still split up Christmases,
But you're all 3 years
Thanksgivings,
apart from each other. So
Right.
your oldest brother is 12 years older than you.
Right,
9 years, 6
Right.
years, 3 years, and then Julia.
right. So, and then eventually they all started moving away, which I did not like. Now we're all back here, and that's a whole different dynamic.
Not always good. No, I'm just kidding. We love being around family. But where I'm going with this is, I think sometimes our normal is what that we grew up is what we think we have to maintain for
Yeah.
our family, and what we want to raise responsible adults
hmm
who go out and form their own life. In fact, who was it that we interviewed? And their kids are all around the world. In Canada, we just
Oh, yeah.
was that Jill?
Jill with a G.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jill Tillman. She's
Yeah.
got somebody in I want to say Abu Dhabi, Seattle, and Vietnam, if I remember correctly.
Was that it? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all over
They're all over the place, and so it's like that's her normal. So what we have to basically do is surrender. We need to not control. It's not about us. We want our sons
Yeah.
who probably feel more. I mean, remember, we were out there getting dirty and planning to go to war games, and we've been taught by the culture to pull yourself by your bootstraps and be a man and da 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 da. And yes, those years are gone because of the next generation. But predominantly when the daughters get married, they're going to want, whether it happens right away or not. I know sometimes even grandparents, moms and dads like us, empty nesters, will move closer to our kids.
Yeah.
We can't do that because we've got 4 kids in 4 different areas, 4 different cities.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it can become hard to let go of our boys
Yeah.
than our girls.
It is. I mean, if my daughter, when she was on the mission field, I had a real fear that she was going to meet some guy in another country and never come back. That was a total fear. And I know that happens and sometimes. And so I realize girls do leave and things like that. But I think it's just more common for boys to gravitate away, to be more independent, to choose to live elsewhere. Oftentimes, though, I also hear about them coming back. Like, they may move to a different city or a different state, but sometimes when they have kids, this is a
Right.
good place. We actually have some friends who their son got married to a girl somewhere else, and they ended up down here eventually and just bought a house, and they have chosen for
Yeah.
this period of time to stay here.
Right.
But I think eventually they'd like to go moved by her parents again.
Yeah. I think the word we're looking for here is steward. We steward our kids. They don't belong to us.
Right.
I think sometimes that's the hard part, is like, I've got this holiday coming up and this is the way we've always done it. And what do you mean you're not, coming here and you're going to go there? We've always done it this way on this holiday. And now that's starting to change. And that's hard to let go of, especially if you grew up in a family that was I'll say overly tight knit.
I wouldn't use the word overly, because if everybody's living in the same area, that's normal. You get together with your family.
Sure.
So I don't want to make it sound like it's unhealthy.
Right.
There may be those families that are unhealthy, and you kind of maybe need to look at that and see if perhaps you're too enmeshed or rely on each other too much for your emotional stability, your emotional.
And I think the other
happiness.
part of it too. There's two dynamics here I want to bring up as far as the husbands are concerned. One is, I think for a mom you're a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So all you stay-at-home moms out there, I think this is harder for you. If you're a working mom and you stayed working and whatnot, you still have a career. You've got your days look different. But if you're a stay-at-home mom, that's who you are. That's what you did. And I remember the tears that would flow from you, or your eyes well up, going, they don't need me like they used to.
Yeah.
And that's hard, because it's like you kind of lose a sense of, who am I if I don't have my kids? Now, that's actually a good thing.
Well, it's a period of our lives where we end up growing. So, I counsel a lot of women in this stage of life who suddenly find themselves empty nesters without feeling like that, not feeling that purpose,
right.
Going through menopause at the same time, or perimenopause. I mean, it's just women. We have a lot going on.
And I think we men, because we men are so compartmentalized, we're like a waffle, or, we've got all these drawers in our brain. I'm going to put a link to Greg, what's his name? That does
Mark Gungor.
Mark Gungor. If you haven't seen Mark Gungor talk about the difference between men and women's brains, I'm going to put a link to that in our notes here. Go have a good laugh with each other, because we men are like, it's like, oh, well, I thought we were just talking about college and all these individual things. It's like, no, mom's got this whole thing weaving through life and whatever. I'm losing my baby boy, and all that stuff comes together, and it creates fear in your heart. It creates worry. And for those who are type A's, it creates control, because we want to. If I can control the circumstances and gently manipulate things to my way. Oh, another geese just landed.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry.
Stay focused.
If I can do that, then my anxiety and worry and fear subsides, and I feel better. I'm more at peace. But the fact is, you want to release.
But you're not at more peace. You don't have more peace.
You don't? See, I'm a dad. See,
but you're right. The control, that is the purpose of it.
All right.
But when we're trying so hard to control, people will rebel against us, and we're not going to feel peace.
Right. Here's
where the peace comes is the freedom to let go.
Right. And here's the number one relationship killer. This is worth the price of admission to today's podcast. Are you ready? I'm going to whisper it. Unsolicited advice.
Yeah. Doesn't go over.
No, in fact, I get that all the time from my mom and dad. We all probably got it from our moms and dads or our in-laws. And it's like, here's what you should be doing. You should be doing this. It's like we've probably heard that chorus 1,000 times, and it doesn't draw me close to them. It pushes me away.
Yeah.
So surrender.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I got lost in what you were saying.
I know.
I lost my train of thought.
It's the geese out there that got me distracted.
Yeah. Anyway, women, ladies, moms,
grandmoms.
Yeah, it's tough letting our boys go. It definitely is. And there is a special, just like there's a special father-daughter bond, there's a special mother-son bond as well. And with each of your kids, it's always different. But it's hard to let those boys go and to realize life is going to look different from here on out. But the best thing you can do for yourself is release that, figure it out, have some of your own growth, because this is a moment in time for your own growth. It is a moment to seek the Lord and say, okay, Lord, what do you have for me here now? If your boys or any of your children have moved away, I would say this. Now, not everybody has the financial means to go see your kids. But at least if you do, if you can save, if you can make that happen, at least be flexible enough to go. Don't make them come to you.
Yeah.
Be flexible enough to go. There's nothing more frustrating than hearing a parent of an adult child, no matter what age. I mean, I've got 30s, 40s where I've heard people say this, that their parents just won't venture out. They won't leave the city. They won't leave their house. They won't do anything new. They won't travel on an airplane. They won't do anything. And they are missing life.
Yeah.
If this is you are missing out on life. You are missing out on relationships because you are so set in your ways. And that is something that you need to look at and grasp whatever fear is in you and take a good look at it and have a good long conversation with yourself and a therapist.
And when I hear you say that, sweetie, I'm experiencing that going, we want to celebrate our adult children. Yeah. That's gonna bring them toward you. Just sitting back and not paying attention to them or initiating things. We're wondering why they don't call us anymore. It's like, what are you doing to initiate that? Yeah. Because they are establishing their own lives, whether they're single or not married or dating. They're trying to establish their own lives. That's what we want.
Yeah.
That's what we want. Here's another thing that can happen to us dads. I may be perfectly fine with my adult son that's graduated from college and leading his own life, but I'm hearing the ache of your heart.
Yeah.
And now I'm caught between the tug of going, hey, I'm supposed to present your case to them because I have to deal with the tears of frustration or whatever behind the scenes. And
you've recovered from that. What did we call that? There's a word for it that we used to always use, that you were.
I'm trying to fix everything behind the scenes.
Right.
I'm playing that. We were built to fix it. In fact, whenever our wives are downloading, the first thing we do is, how do I get this to stop? I fix the problem. But 98% of the time, she just wants to be listened to. So I've learned to say, do you want me to listen?
That's 99.9% of the
time. See. But anyway, I need to start off by going, do you just want me to listen? Or do I need to fix this?
Right.
So usually you'll say, I just need you to listen, because she knows the answer. She just has to get it out. But anyway, all that to say is, I can't get caught in the middle as dad.
Right. It's very unhealthy. I will say that. That's kind of, that's...
I'm the go-between guy.
That's like triangulation. Just two people ganging up on another one to try to get the way they want it to go.
I need you to do what mom asked you to do because she's causing me difficulty at home, and now this isn't going well, so you need to do what she wants. It's not going to happen. We don't have an adult child going, oh, I get it. You want us to do everything you want you to do, but not me, so that your marriage and anxiety is low. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you play it out, that's what we're asking them to do.
Right. Right.
And this goes back to, again, enjoy them, be the wind under their wings. If it's a holiday thing and they've split time between things, great. Ask them, hey, how'd it go? What's going on? Be excited, be enthused, ask questions about them. You want relationship over just about everything else.
Yeah. And don't manipulate. Please don't manipulate.
Yeah, that never goes well.
It will never go well, and it will never, it'll come back and bite you in the butt.
And we talk about this all the time on the podcast. Find some other friends to download with.
Yeah. And friends and I've said this too, friends that you can sit around and laugh about it with. Because if people are in the same position, you actually can sit there and laugh. I have a couple of girlfriends in California that whenever I go out to California, I get together with these two friends, and Steve will tell you, so will you be home at all tonight?
Oh, she's been gone for 5 hours.
We'll just sit there for hours and hours and hours and talk. And in those moments, we are downloading the hardest things about our lives in the moment, but we always end up laughing. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but there's something that is so releasing about it. To have someone hear you, listen, understand, relate.
Because you feel validated. You feel validated. And things like, hey, we had this happen, or listen to my story, and things like that. You haven't solved anything, haven't fixed anything, but I feel heard and understood. Because a lot of times I'm not doing a good enough job.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to agree with that.
I wasn't agreeing with that piece.
I understand.
I was agreeing with the rest of it. Anyway, I have a million things that I could actually say on this subject, because it is so heartfelt, and it can be so incredibly painful.
We want to help. We want to help you get through those times.
I feel a lot of pain with my boys that live on the other side of the country. They have kids.
Well, it feels like it's, first of all, I think when it first starts happening, you feel like you're losing your baby boy. The umbilical cord is starting to be cut. It's going to probably happen at some point.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is to let it happen, but verbalize that with a trusted friend, people, a couple that you might know, whatever, to saying, hey, tell us about what it was like going through your time. The funny story with us, I always tell people, so I got this job opportunity to move away from Orange County, and we left 3 of our adult kids in the house. Yeah. And it's kind of like, as empty nesters, if the kids won't leave the nest, I said, Mom and Dad will. And we left.
But that's not why
I know. That's not why we left.
And I don't recommend leaving 3 kids home.
Yeah, we had to come back and do some repair there without that happening. But you mentioned you have a million things that you could say.
Well, yeah, it is super painful to experience your boys far away, to not have the conversations that you normally would have had when they were living at home with you, or even when they came home to visit from college or whatever it is. I cherish those late night conversations that I had with my kids and things like that. But I will say this too. We have good relationships with all of our kids, but we don't talk to them often.
No.
And that's another piece that I'm always amazed that when I hear people say, oh, I talk to my mom every day, or I talk to somebody every, I wouldn't say it's not normal.
Okay.
You're talking in absolutes.
Right. I'm going to watch the geese.
And there's a piece of me that's a little sometimes jealous of that. At the same time, I kind of sit back and I go, well, I think it might be good that I'm not talking to them every day, because I'm not in dire need of them. I would love to talk to them, but they aren't in dire need of me.
Their closest person is their wives.
Their closest person is their spouse. And if you have a child who has a significant other of some sort, that's probably the person that they're talking to as well. So it can be hard, again, with that transition of not having conversations with them like you used to. But I don't know. I think it's it's good that I'm not talking to them all the time. Now, as time goes on, I know that I'm going to need to probably take more initiative to reach out as they get older, as they have more kids, things like that, because I think that they will probably forget me. But
No.
I do, I think that there's a happy medium, and there's a checking in, there's a, hey, what's going on in your life? But there I don't want to use the word should. I'm really trying to not use the word should. But I think it's healthier if your child doesn't need you all the time and you don't need
That's
them
a good
all
sign.
the time.
Yeah, you want them to. You want to raise independent adult children. They need to function even emotionally without you. I think the hard part more for moms is releasing their sons emotionally. Some other woman is going to step in and take your place.
Yeah,
that's reality. So as that slowly starts to happen, be ready for that. That's what we're basically saying.
And it's supposed to happen.
It's supposed to happen that way.
It is.
They're supposed to leave and cleave. And sometimes if they're living in the same city, they may physically have left and cleft. What's the past tense of that? But emotionally, because mom and dad are still there, maybe they haven't. And that could become a long-term thing, because mom is still too involved in their lives. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But of those million things that you said you could talk about, we have pared it down to 13. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'm holding up the Parent Pivot. It is our book called 13 Principles for Building Stronger Relationships with Your Adult Children. You have to put your glasses on to read that.
I do.
So here it is. We're going to put the show links in. That's available on Amazon. 13 principles. Go through those. Begin to implement them. If you've got 2 of them, you've got 11 more to go. But that's not a million. We kept it down to 13.
And it's really a journal. It's not like some big fat book, but it's a journal. There are prompts in there to answer some questions.
Get you thinking
and kind of reflect on yourself some, and yeah.
And there's a scripture verse for each one.
Yeah. So I highly recommend that.
Yeah, just go to Amazon, type in the Parent Pivot, and it'll pop up in our favorite color of green. And let us know what you think about that. We actually could use some reviews. So when you buy it, if you wouldn't mind doing a review, because this just came out last month.
It's only been a few weeks.
Been a few weeks. We would love to get some reviews on that, and even share it on your social media. Anything you can do. We are trying to help other parents do this pivot to partner. And sometimes it can go quickly, sometimes slowly, sometimes it just feels like we've never gotten there. But verbalize that stuff. If we can be of any help, please email us, direct message us. Again, we're at everything at Parent Pivot Podcast.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing too. If any of you are out there paying attention in the world, it's kind of hard not to. But we've really seen the breakdown of the family. And just because our kids are older doesn't mean that you still won't be seeing the demise of the family. And we want to do our part in whatever we can to help you with your family.
Amen.
And to have healthy relationships with your adult children. So please pass that on. And for those of you who were at the Grandparenting Summit, thank you, who got the free book from us. Yeah, please review it and put it in there and say hi and whatever on Amazon. You can still do that.
Yeah, say hi to us.
And so that's it.
That's it. Okay.
I have nothing else. Steve's going to watch the geese.
I'm going to, they're hiding between the trees. We lost one. We named it the 2 geese, Gary and Gert. And then one morning I woke up and I looked at the end of the yard and there was all these feathers all over. What happened? And she had laid 4 eggs. And some coyote took care of her, and that was sad. And poor Gary wandered around the backyard all by himself, and we felt sad. And then we learned that geese are like ducks, and they mate for life.
Yeah, but Gary went out a week later and met someone.
A week later, there was 2 of them back there going, well, that didn't take long.
No, and now we've got like 5, so they're 5. Kind of, I can't tell if they're fighting or
Well, I said to the kids today, I said, is that a community group, or does he now have a harem? I don't know. How we got off on the subject, I don't know.
I'm sorry, you guys, we really have
We've
rambled
rambled.
on
Yes.
today
Yes.
about nothing,
Yes.
nonsensicals.
But we're grateful for y'all, and thank you for listening to the Parent Pivot Podcast. We enjoy being here. Please like, share, review, click subscribe, buy a copy of the Parent Pivot, and we'll see you guys next week on the Parent Pivot Podcast.
Bye.